G'day and welcome to another video. In today's lesson we're going to learn how to make this really cute top. This top can also be made with long sleeves and it can be made from newborn up to adult size. There is a written pattern that goes with this and we will need it for the video tutorial. I will put the link that you need in the description box. I would like to say a huge thank you to redheart.com for supplying the yarn in this project. I'm working from Stash and this is Red Heart Super Saver, but this pattern works very well with a DK yarn or an 8 ply. The worsted weight yarn that you see here is also equivalent to an Australian 10 ply. Please subscribe to stay up to date with all the videos that are coming out. So let's get started on the lesson. So this project is made with acrylic yarn, but it works perfectly with cotton. This is an adult version, but as you can see it's not quite finished off. I just still need to finish off the band around the bottom. It's almost finished. I've probably got about 10 minutes worth left on this. But I just wanted to put it into the video so that you can see it works perfectly for an adult size. This one will fit me. This is not a fitted top on me. This will be a nice loose and relaxed fit, but it's going to be great for summer and it's got a little bit of covering on the shoulders, which is perfect to help with sunburn. So I really hope you enjoy this video and let's get started on the lesson. For our supplies we're going to need a yarn needle with a large eye, a pair of scissors, a pencil. You could use a pen if you wanted to, but a pencil is great because you can erase it later. A stitch marker, doesn't matter if it's just a stitch marker like that or a piece of scrap yarn. Going to need a tape measure or a ruler. You're going to need a crochet hook to go with your yarn. I will be using worsted weight and that's an Australian 10 ply yarn and that recommends a 5.5mm. You don't want tight tension with this one because you don't want your garment to be stiff. If you're going to use 8 ply or a double knit yarn, I would recommend a G or a 4mm crochet hook. The yarn I'm using in this video will be Red Heart Super Saver. I am trying to work from Stash and I have plenty of this brand of yarn, the Super Saver range. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be using, but you can easily use an 8 ply or a double knit, or you could use a cotton yarn. If it's for a summer garment, definitely you could use cotton yarn, but this is what I'm going to be using. It's a worsted number 4, category 4, and then it's equivalent to a 10 ply yarn like I said before. It is the colour Orchid and yeah, recommends a 5.5, and I'm going to use the pink as well. We are not going to use all this yarn for the size I'm going to make in the video, but I want to make this one two-tone. And this one is a light raspberry. I am going to write across the screen how much yarn that I've used for the size that I'm making. I will be making one. This is my written patterns, all I have so far. Don't worry, you'll have a lot more to yours. And I'm going to be using the 62 chain, which is the 3rd largest size. It starts at about a newborn to preemie, depending on what thickness of yarn you're going to use. And I'm going to be using the 3rd size with a worsted weight. It's probably going to fit between a 2-year-old, and you can also use this all the way up to a small adult. You'll understand that when I talk about the next part of the pattern. I knew there was another page to the pattern that I had, I hadn't printed it out. So if you have used one of these patterns before to make any of the garments that I've been making over the last 6 to 12 months, so any of the cardigans or the sweaters, you would have measured and you would have used this picture and measured around the neck and then for the armhole depth. So if you've done all that and you understand that, then you can skip this part because I'm basically going to be describing that again just in case somebody's watching and you haven't done it before, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. So the first part, there will be a lot of talking, but it's me helping you out to decide what size you're going to make and so on, and how to get your measurements. So everybody has different tension, and you're going to check the first round of your garment, and that is going to give you the head size it's going to fit. So if you need to make something for a 50cm head, you're not going to pick one of the sizes that's for the baby size because it's not going to fit over your head. So first of all, you got to make sure it's going to fit over your head, otherwise you can't wear it. And once we've got row 1 sorted, then we are good to go. And I give you some guidelines in this pattern, but if you've got different tension or using different brand of yarn or a different crochet hook, you're going to have some variation. So we just want to make sure the first round is right. And if you're making one of the larger sizes, the neck opening is going to be larger than your head anyway, but we can get to that in a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our tape measure, and I'm also going to insert some photos to show you what I did. I've used my garment, so a shirt that fits me, but you can also use this exact style of measuring for the baby garment as well. We're going to be measuring around the neck and also the armhole depth. So measure all the way around the neck. You're going to measure not just around the front, but you're going to measure the whole way around the opening. And I'm going to insert a photo now to show you how I did that. We're also going to measure the armhole depth, which is where the red arrow is. And I'm going to again insert some photos so you can see how I did that. And we are going to write the measurement here. We're also going to measure from the top to the bottom, and this is just a guide if you wanted to make this garment the same size as the garment that you're measuring, and you can write it there. So you want to know your head measurement, you could measure your own head. There's also some hat sizing information that I do have, and the link for that will be below if you're not sure on sort of head sizes versus ages. But once we've got all this information, we're good to go. This is I wouldn't say it's a beginner pattern because there are measuring and things like that, but it's not a hard pattern. If you've done one of my cardigans or crochet sweaters before, just leave your experience of this type of tutorial in the comment section to let everybody know that it's not hard. On this page there's a whole heap of numbers, but what it says is if you're using a DK yarn, you're going to follow this information, and then if you're using a worsted weight or a 10-ply yarn, you're going to use this information. Don't take any notice of the red, that's just for me. I have to change that in the pattern. And these are the amounts of yarn that I think that you're going to use. If anything, you want to get more yarn than what it says here, because I haven't made every single size, but I do know this method of the pattern works because we've tested it out with previous video tutorials. But this is a different style of stitch, so it's going to use different amounts of yarn. So you're going to find your head measurement. So let's say for me, I have a 58 centimetre head. You're going to go to the closest one, and you want to make it just a little bit bigger. You don't want it smaller because you've got to get it over your head. So my head's 58 centimetres, so I would go for this one where it says 60 centimetres, because I know that 60 centimetre opening is going to fit over my head. So I would choose 84 chains. If you want your neck opening a bit snug, you could try the 74 chains. I have done that. I did find that was a little snug trying to get it on, so that's why I'm suggesting just go for a little bit bigger. And also, this is the measurement that is the opening of your neck. So I know the 60 centimetre is going to go over my head because it's bigger than my head measurement. The opening to my t-shirt that I've got is 55 centimetres. So I know that either one of these is going to fit. The 55 one is going to be snug, and then the 61 is going to be a little bit looser. We can work around the neck opening and make it a little bit smaller if we need to. We can work some decreases or something, but you're going to go as close as you can. So if you're a larger size, you may have a neck opening that is larger in measurement. So you may have a 70 centimetre opening to your t-shirt, and of course the 70 centimetre is definitely going to go over your head because most heads are between sort of 55 and 60 centimeters. So yeah, the 70 centimeters or the 28 inch is definitely going to go over your head, but you want the neck opening of your garment to also compare to this size. So you might need to choose the 108 chains. So I'm hoping that's making sense, and the same applies for the worsted weight. If I was making the worsted weight for myself, I would go the 60 or the 55 centimeters. I like my clothing a little bit on the snug side, so I'd probably go the 55 centimeters, and I would go with the 62 chains. If you look up on the double knit one, the 55 centimeters is 74 chains. So there's a sizing difference depending on what yarn you're using. I've also got here, just for the baby sizes and the child sizes, I've got some measurements. I couldn't actually find any for adult female or adult male sizes, because we're going to be using armhole depth, and I just couldn't find any information on that. But it's easy because you've got a t-shirt that you've already measured. So this information here is just if you don't have any baby items, baby clothing to measure up, you could use this as a guide. Like I said, unfortunately, I just couldn't find any for adults. But I've popped that in just in case you're making a baby size. So we're going to look at our written pattern, and here it says chain 38, and then you've got all these numbers after that. As you can see, I've circled the 62 because I am going to be using worsted weight yarn, and I'm going to make the 55 centimeter garment for 62 chains. The 55 centimeter garment can fit a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, so I'm going to just be using the armhole depth guide that we've got here, so around 4 or 4.25 inch armhole depth. And the armhole depth was the red arrow that we measured and wrote down. It's generally, I think, the smaller measurement of the three that you did, sorry. I'm not going to make the smallest one for this pattern because it doesn't really give you enough for me to demonstrate the increasing, so that's why I've just gone 3 sizes in so I can demonstrate how to do the increasing properly. But what you're going to do, you pick your number, so whatever number you decide that you want to make, and then you go to your chains down here. So I've picked 62 up there for the 55 centimeter opening, but I'm going to make this for a child, even though I can still use that number 62 to make one for myself. That's what makes this pattern really good. That one neck opening can fit a variety of ages. So yeah, like I said, I've picked 62, so I've circled the 3rd number, because the 3rd number across is my 62 chains, and that matches what I've chosen up there. You're going to go across the pattern and go to the next lot of numbers, and you're going to pick the corresponding number. So over here it was the 3rd number, so 1, 2, 3 I've circled. And then when you go to the next one, you're going to pick the 3rd one across again, so 1, 2, 3. Of course, if you're doing a different size, then you're going to pick the corresponding number that you've chosen. Again, here we've got 1, 2, 3. I've circled that. And where's the other ones? We've got one here and one there. And of course, if you're going to make a different size, you will have different numbers circled. The reason I circle them is because when I'm reading a pattern, if I accidentally pick the wrong number, it's going to completely throw out your pattern. So after all that chit chat, let's get some crochet started, hey? So, going to be grabbing our yarn, and like I said, this is going to work for a double knit. And we want to make a slip knot, but we want to leave the starting tail, we want to leave that between 4 and 5 inches just for sewing in later. And you're going to grab your crochet hook. And you're going to make the chains that you need to make. So I need to make 62 chains. So we will have our lots of chains. Like I said, I have 62, but you may have a different amount. And what we need to do is single crochet into the 3rd chain from the crochet hook. We do not count the one that's on our our hook, we count across to the third one, so 1, 2, 3, and we single crochet into that stitch. We're going to single crochet in the next amount of stitches. I'm just going to grab my pattern off over here. So we're going to single crochet into the next, and then so many numbers. And like I said, mine's the third number across, so I'm picking 8, but you're going to pick whatever number that you have circled. So what I need to do the next 8 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and into the next stitch I'm going to do a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and that is our increase. Now if you're having trouble with seeing where the chain 1 space is after we've done this, you can actually do a chain 2, but I don't do tight chains, so I'm just going to do 1. So single crochet, chain 1, you could chain 2, and if you do a chain 2, you want to do this throughout the pattern and just stick with your chain 2 instead of swapping over to the chain 1. And I'm doing a single crochet in the same stitch, and that's our increase. You can see the chain 1, I know where it is, it's just there, but it does disappear. So if you want to do a chain 2, then that's perfectly fine. Single crochet into the next, and I need to do 20 stitches, but you're going to do the amount that you need to do. So I'm not going to do all these on camera, but we're going to single crochet into the next lot of stitches. So pause the video and I'll meet you when we have our stitches done. We are going to do an increase into the next chain, and that's a single crochet, chain 1. Notice how I don't do my chain 1 very tight, and that's why I can get away with the chain 1. And single crochet in the same stitch. Another reason I'm using worsted weight 4 or 10 ply yarn for this video is it shows up a lot better in the videos. The double knit can be a little bit small if I'm doing single crochet. We're going to single crochet into the next 8 stitches, or the amount of stitches that you need to do. And in the next stitch we are going to work single crochet, chain 1 and single crochet, and that is our increase. So all in the same stitch. We're going to single crochet in the next 20 stitches, or the amount that you need to do. And this will probably be, if you've done your chain correct, the amount of stitches that you have left. So I'm about to find out if I did the right amount of chains. So pause the video and I'll meet you when we're up to the end. So who got the right amount of stitches? Give yourself a high five if you did. I actually went whoop off camera when I realised I had the right amount, because there's nothing worse than having to restart. Okay, so that's our first row done, and you will see that it's twisted and it carries on, and that's just what it does. So we're going to make sure it's not twisted, because we're going to join this to form the neck opening of our garment. Just take your time so that you don't accidentally twist it. And then we're going to work a slip stitch into the second chain of the beginning chains that we have here. It's a bit hard to see, I know that is really hard to see. There's one there and one there, and you're going to slip stitch into that stitch. You don't want to work your slip stitch tight, and this is where trusty stitch marker comes in. We're going to put our stitch marker into that slip stitch because we want to crochet in that and we don't want to forget about it. Alrighty, now we've got this tiny little hole, and if you've used double knit yarn you're going to have a really tiny hole. I want to slip stitch into this hole here, so it's the hole before the first single crochet. And we want to slip stitch into that second chain. It is a little bit tricky to get. And we're going to just pull snug so the slip stitch disappears. What we're going to do now is slip stitch into the space. Now you've got a single crochet here. You'll see the 2 loops on the top. Single crochet there, and there's this like quite a small hole. It's a chain 1 space, so it's not very big. We're going to slip stitch into that. But don't do that slip stitch tight. We're going to grab our stitch marker, because this is where he comes in handy, and we're going to mark that stitch. So we need to crochet into that slip stitch, otherwise we actually lose stitches as we go around. And for the first round we don't turn at the end, but then for all the other rounds we do. Chain 5. We've already done the slip stitch to the chain 1 space, and we want to chain 5. This chain 5 counts as our very first treble. That's in a US treble, and our chain 1 space. If you're doing a chain 2, you've chosen to do the chain 2, you're going to chain 6 stitches, because that will be 4 for your first stitch and then 2 for your chain 2. So, but I'm doing chain 1, so I'm going to go with 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so it's 4 chains is the first stitch, and the 1 is our first treble. We're going to yarn over twice for our treble and go back into the same chain 1 space. I'm going to pull up a loop, and we've got 4 loops on our crochet hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. We are now going to treble in each stitch until we get to the next chain 1 space, which is over here. So we're just going to treble all the way across there. So I'll show you one more time. So yarning over twice, go into the next stitch and do a treble. So pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And just work this across until we get to our next chain 1 space. I'm just going to leave the video going because it's only a couple of stitches. It's only, what, 8 or 9 stitches? And we're coming along, and I've got one more stitch. And my chain 1 space, you'll see the 2 stitches coming out of that chain there. You'll see those 2, can you see that? And your chain 1 is in the middle. I know it's small, but once you put your crochet hook in there, it'll open up a bit. So we're going to treble into the chain 1 space, chain 1 or 2, and then treble in the same stitch. And you can see there that the chain 1 space is opened up. We are now going to treble across in each stitch, which I think was like 20 odd stitches. And the next chain 1 space is there. Can you see how there's a bump there? Like the rest is quite straight, but then there's this bump in the middle. It's showing up when I'm looking at it, but not so well on the viewfinder. Where the bump is where your chain 1 is, because you've put all your stitches there and it's made it all bumpy. So yeah, we're going to treble across till we get to our next chain 1 space. So pause the video and I will meet you there. So I've done all my trebles and I'm up to my next chain 1 space, and into our chain 1 space we're going to do our treble increase, which is a treble, chain 1 or 2 and a treble. So yarn over twice, go into your chain 1 space, for your treble, chain 1 or 2 and treble. We're going to repeat this all the way around, so every time we get to a chain 1 space we're going to work that increase, and then we're going to just do 1 treble in each stitch in between that. So what have we got? I think we've just got 1 more increase to go. Looks like it, yeah. And so yeah, continue around and I will meet you when we're at the end of the round. Remember how we've done our mark stitch? We need to crochet into that. So we're going to remove that and we're going to yarn over twice and we're going to crochet into that slip stitch. And we're going to join to the 4th chain of the beginning chain. It doesn't matter how many you did, if you did 5 or 6, but you're still going to go into the 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, because that's technically the top of the treble, which is substituted with the chain 4. And we're going to slip stitch to join. So you can see the chain 1 space is now with the treble standing out a lot more. So that's really good. Now, from now on, what we're going to do is we're going to turn at the end of each round. And just to finish off this round, we need to slip stitch into the chain 1 space. So we're going to go in there and work a slip stitch. We're going to grab our stitch marker and just pop it back in there. And it will just remind us to crochet into it. We are going to crochet into it in just a moment, but just to make sure. I know I keep forgetting and I keep losing the stitches. So the repeat for this pattern is a treble round and a single crochet round. Turn our work, and into the chain 1 space we are going to work a chain 1, and that does not count as a stitch, it's just to get us to the right height. We are going to single crochet, chain 1 and single crochet in the same space. So that's our increase. You can see our slip stitch here. We need to make sure we crochet that stitch. Might not actually be that hard to see. Yeah, it does actually look like a normal stitch, so that's okay. So we're going to go into the top of this stitch, which is the chain from the beginning of the previous round. We're going to single crochet, and we're going to single crochet in every stitch until we get to our chain space. So for me it is over here. You can see that the chain 1 space with the treble stands out a lot more, so this is quite easy to see. And then once you've got a few rounds in, you've just really got to look for this space, even on the single crochet. So you'll notice this gap here and know that your increase for the single crochet is here. So we're going to single crochet all the way across until we get to there. We've got the chain 1 space, and we're going to go single crochet. You probably already know what you're doing. Single crochet, chain 1 or 2, and single crochet in that space. And then we're going to single crochet, and you don't want to work your single crochets very tightly or very tight, because it's going to pull your work in, and we don't want that to happen. So we're going to single crochet all the way across until we get to our next chain 1 space, which is here. So I'll meet you over there. Into the chain 1 space, we're going to work single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. And we're going to repeat this all the way around, doing 1 single crochet across, and then when we get to, where is it? All the way over here. Our chain 1 space, you're going to work your single crochet, chain 1, single crochet increase. And it will start to look like a rectangle with a big hole in the middle, and that's what we want. So pause the video and I'll see you at the end of the round. You want to slip stitch to the very first single crochet. And we are going to pull that snug and join. So it's starting to take shape quite quickly because of the treble stitch is quite tall. It does grow quite fast, so that's why this project is awesome. We want to slip stitch to our chain 1 space, so it's just after where we joined. And then we want to turn our work. We're going to chain 5 or 6 if you did the 6 just previously. We're going to work a treble into the same space. And we're going to work a treble in each stitch around. Until we get to the next chain 1 space. And we're going to work an increase, and that's a treble, chain 1, and a treble. And we're going to repeat this. So that's our repeat. It's our treble round and our single crochet round. So it's the 2 previous rounds that we just did. And I'm just going to fold that in half. And as we go along, it's going to get larger, and I'm going to finish off this round and then show you on the next round, because at the moment you can't really tell. And what we're going to be doing is measuring from here, so our first increase was an out, and this is the armhole depth that we need to reach. But I'm going to do another round and come back, and then we'll show you how to measure up. It's starting to take shape, and what we need to do is, when we're measuring for our armhole depth, we are going to measure from the top here down along our increasing, and we're going to just measure that. Mine's only 7 centimeters, or just, it's about 2 3/4 inch. And I'm just looking at the information, the sizing information on the written pattern, and it's too small for anybody, so we need about 3 inches for a newborn, and I'm actually going to make this for a 2-year-old, so I actually need to increase until I'm 4 inches in the armhole depth, which is about there. But if you make it a little bit on the larger side, it doesn't matter, because they can grow into it. It's better to make it a little bit bigger than too small, because the treble stitch is really tall, and especially if you're using the worsted weight yarn, you won't be able to get it an exact measurement, but you're going to get it as close as you can. The sizing information is only a guide. So what we are going to do now is we are going to repeat the treble round and also the single crochet round till we have our armhole depth. We want to finish on a treble round, because when we do our joining round, that's our single crochet. So we want to finish on the treble. And so pause the video and I'll meet you when we have got our armhole depth finished. And for this size, if you are actually literally following this pattern that I'm doing, we are going to crochet until we have 4 inches from the top. So from here to here is about 4 inches, or you'll see in the next video clip how many treble rounds that I've done. I've done a couple of more rounds of the treble, and altogether I've got 3, and of course they're separated by single crochet. I've ended on my treble round. I'm just going to measure from here and then down the increasing, and I think it is about 4 inches. Yeah, so it's just on 11 centimeters, or just over 4 inches. And for the size I'm making, so this is going to fit a 2-year-old, this is going to be the 4-inch armhole depth, which is from there to there. I'm just looking at the sizing information on the ribbon pattern, and it says that the chest for a 2-year-old is about 21 inches. And if I measure from increase, oh, can't fit it in, from increase to increase, it is approximately 22 inches across, so that's pretty good. That's definitely going to fit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work the joining round, and this is a single crochet round. So we want to go back to our crochet, and we're going to slip stitch into the chain 1 space. We're going to turn our work around, because remember how our single crochets are on the wrong side. We're going to chain 1 and single crochet in the chain 1 space. We are going to single crochet in each stitch until we get to the next chain 1 space. So we're up to our next chain 1 space, and we're going to single crochet into that, and we're going to chain 2. If you're making a larger size, let's say you're making the adult size, you are going to chain 3, you could chain 4, 5, 6. This is to get space under the arm, and after this round, after we've joined all this round, you can actually try this on to see if it's going to fit you under the arms, and if you need to change it, you could add or take away chains under there. But just for this is for about a 2-year-old, so I'm just going to add 2 chains. If you're making it for a newborn, I would probably suggest 1 or 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to skip the next amount of trebles. So we're going to skip all these trebles here, and then we're just going to single crochet into that next chain 1 space. So we're just going to bring that across. So we're just missing all those stitches, and we're going to single crochet in the next chain 1 space. Make sure you have tension on your yarn so that your single crochet doesn't go loose, because this single crochet there, up here, this one, it can go loose if we've got loose tension there. And we're going to single crochet until we get to the next chain 1 space. So pause the video and I'll see you there. Single crochet into the chain 1 space. Do your chains that you did before. So for me it was 2. This is the only time that we have to remember about the chains. There's only 2 lots of chains. We're going to skip the next lot of trebles, and over here, which is where we very first started this round, we're going to slip stitch to the single crochet. So going in with a slip stitch, and then just pull that snug. So this is the point that if it's for yourself or for your daughter or someone that you're making it for, if you can try it on them, then this is what you can do now. You can also get your shirt and you can compare it. So the garment, if you measured a garment, you could compare the armhole depth now. So it's, see how we've just created our armholes? And you can compare that to the shirt that you've made. I think I have a photo of when I did my other sweater, my very first sweater. So I'll insert that photo now if I have. If not, then I won't. But I'm pretty sure I have a photo of when I compared this part, the crocheted part, to the actual shirt to see if it was going to fit. So of course, if you're making a bigger size, this top section will be a lot bigger than mine, because mine's only for a child. And so now we have joined the body. So see how it's now joined under the arms. We've got 2 armholes. And then we've got this big section here, which is where our body is. And from now on, we're just going to concentrate on the body section. And we need to turn our work. So we're going to turn our work. So there's no slip stitching to any chain 1 spaces anymore because there isn't any chain 1 spaces. We've finished with the increasing and the chain 1 spaces. So our next round is a treble round. So we're going to chain 4. And we're going to treble into the next lot of chains that we have. So let's say you have 2 chains. You're going to work 1 treble in each chain. And if you can't work into your chains, one of my patterns, I couldn't get it for some reason. But you can actually just crochet around. So instead of going into the chain, go into the hole. So basically it's into the armhole, around the chain, and then work it that way. But I'm going to try and get the chain stitch, which could work, and maybe not. So I've only got 2 chains, so I only need to work 2 trebles in there. 1 in each chain. So basically it's 1 treble in each chain that you have under your arm. Sorry, for a minute I thought I had 3 under there, but the first one is actually coming out of that very last single crochet there. So that's all good. So now we just do 1 treble in every stitch around. And I'll meet you when we're ready to join. We're coming back around, and it looks like I needed to add a stitch there, and I almost did. But when I pulled the crochet stitches up, I've got 2 chains in my armhole. I've got 2 trebles, and then this chain here. So this is actually coming out of that stitch, so I don't need to crochet into that. We're going to join to the very first stitch, which is the top of the chain 4. I'm going to pull that snug, and we're going to turn our work. I'm going to chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch, so it's in the top of the chain 4 there. Go into that one. And we're going to single crochet in each stitch around. We're going to repeat the last 2 rounds, and this is the pattern repeat for this pattern. That was a mouthful. Pattern repeat for this pattern. Yep, so that's basically it. The 2 last rounds we did are our pattern repeat. It's a treble crochet round and a single crochet round. When you come back around on your single crochet, you are just going to join to the very first single crochet that we got there with a slip stitch, turn your work, and then start your treble round. And the length of your garment, I'm not really sure what the length of this is going to be, but you can usually just tell by looking at it and how long it needs to be. Of course, if you've got a garment that you measured, then you can use that as well. I'm going to crochet this off camera, obviously, and I'm going to do some research to see if I can find some lengths to garments. And if I do, I will put that information into the written pattern for you. So pause the video and I'll see you when we are ready for the edging. I finished the length of mine, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the treble all together. So 8 rounds of the treble, and probably about the same as the single crochet, but that's just an easy way to count it if you just count the treble rounds. I've done my treble round, and then I've done a single crochet round on the wrong side. And now what we want to do to finish off is, I'll just measure that for you just in case you are wondering. That's 26 centimeters, or approximately 10 inches. And to finish it off, we are going to, you can do as many single crochet rounds as you like. On the adult version I did do a couple more, but you're going to finish off on the right side round. So at the moment it's on the wrong side because we did our single crochet on the wrong side. Done your single crochet on the wrong side, and then we're going to turn our work around. So we're going to spin it around, and then we're going to work another round of single crochet. So chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch, and then single crochet in each stitch around, and then we're going to join, and so that way we'll be finishing on the right side, and it just gives it a nicer edge. So after we finish off, you can just sew in your ends, and we can work a round of single crochet around the neck opening. I'm not going to, I think that looks perfectly fine, but you can, if you want to, you can work into between the legs of the single crochet that's here. So instead of going into the chain stitch and pulling up a big loop, you can go into, see how there's 2 little legs, one there and one there. You're going to go in between there, and that's where you would single crochet all the way around, just going into each stitch. And you can also work a round of single crochet around the arm opening if you would like to. So we're going to finish off around the neck here, and what we want to do is we're going to stitch it to the other side here. So we're just going to go under both loops and then just pull that through. And we're going to go over the other side. And before you pull that loop shut, come through with your needle and then just pull that tight. Go to the back of the work and then pick up a loop. Go through there. I'm just working my way down to a treble row we've got here, and I'm going to work underneath these stitches just here. When you go back across, you're going to skip the first loop that we just came out under. I'm going to go in the second one, and that will trap your yarn just there, and it won't make it pull back through. Then we can cut off our ends. And if you want to single crochet around the arm opening, you would start at the bottom here, so this is right under the arm, in the middle, join your yarn and single crochet all the way around. And then you could also add a treble round after that if you wanted to. If you wanted to make it long sleeve, you can single crochet around, because the last round here was a treble. So your next one needs to be single crochet, and then you would do a treble round after that. So yeah, easy as that. And you would join in the round like we did, which we've been doing for the body. So it's really easy. So yeah, I love this. Looks so cool. So here is my finished top, and I think it looks adorable. Please share your creation on our Facebook page, and if you can, tag me on Instagram. I'm also on Patreon, so if you want to support me over there, I will put the link in the description box. We have giveaways and all sorts of fun over there. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, happy crochet. Oops. We want to slip stitch into our chain 1 space. We want to slip stitch into the chain 1 space. You can, because of course the sizing information is only a guide.